Their Clash debut. A new look for Junior Johnson's number 27 T-Bird, Loy Allen, the rookie who sat on the pole last year at the controls. The number 40 is the Brooks Sabetis Pontiac, only Pontiac in the field from Mattatuck, New York. Greg Sachs will be at the controls. In row 5, last year's Daytona 500 champion, earned his third invitation here from Columbia, Tennessee, Sterling Marlin. Today officially unveils the new Elliott Racing Team. Number 94 will carry the 87 Clash winner from Dawsonville, Georgia, Bill Elliott. The number 31 Chevrolet features another first-time Clash starter, sophomore sensation from South Boston, Virginia. Ward Burton is there. Sporting new colors, number 1 Rick Mast took the pole at the inaugural Indianapolis Brickyard 400. In his familiar colors, the number 10 Ford is Ricky Rudd, owner and driver, making his 10th start in the Clash. Mark Martin in the number 6 finished second in 91 to Earnhardt with the Jack Roush car. Then 15th is the number 2. It's Rusty Wallace there, 10th start. And rounding out the field, David Green in car number 95. The Grand National champion is a new face and a new place in this field, a Grand National starter, ready to go in the Busch Clash of 95. The weather, gray and damp. It has rained most of the morning, but it's cleared in the past half hour. They still have trucks, vehicles on the track trying to get it dry and race ready for this field of 16 starters, which equals the record number of the starting field back in 1983. Let's get the rules, the format for the event. Here's Mike Joy.
Thanks, Ken. It's a little raw down here, but it is dry. The rules are as simple as the race is short. To get in this field, you had to win a pole position in 1994, plus one wild card driver, and the pole winningest driver from the Busch Series, that's David Green. They'll wave the green flag and race just 10 laps. Caution laps do not count. Then a mandatory caution flag at 10 laps. The drivers will come to pit lane and perform any service they normally would in a Winston Cup race. But then's the kicker. They will invert the field. The 10th lap leader goes all the way to the back. They'll drop the flag again and run 10 more laps, and the winner goes to victory lane. This race has been run in as little as 15 minutes and 10 seconds, so don't go away. We'll be back live with the start of the Busch Clash on CBS after this.
The 1995 Busch Clash is sponsored by Busch Beer. Get your Busch Clash commemorative can today at participating retailers. The totally new Ford Contour, a world car for the 21st century. And by Goodyear, number 1 in tires.
He's won more Busch Pole Awards this season than any Busch Series driver. Today, he faces tougher competition. He's got to punch it up a gear. Because the dream he's chased all season long brings him to Daytona, where David Green is running with the big boys in the Busch Clash. We're proud to be with him from the first turn to the last. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR.
The new Ford Contour has taken off, and the compliments are flying.
The balance between ride and handling is unparalleled.
You might easily mistake it for a much more expensive European sports sedan.
No other American car in this class has ever driven like the Contour V6.
Top marks to the Ford V6.
One thing is certain, Contour is an excellent world car.
The totally new Ford Contour, well equipped for just $14,670. We built this jump and flooded it to introduce Goodyear's all-new Wrangler AquaTread for light trucks and sport utilities. Two aqua channels sweep water away. You get the sheer rugged toughness of a Goodyear Wrangler and the outstanding wet traction of a Goodyear AquaTread. The all-new 50,000-mile Wrangler AquaTread, only from Goodyear.
There's one thing that a racing engine and a street engine have in common. You want them both to last.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
To build a race engine that holds up, you have to use the best of everything, and Haviland does that job.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer. Good enough for Robert Yates. Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
The steel gray look that you want for a racetrack, 2.5 miles in length, is coming up here, and it looks like we're not too far from the start, but there will be a slight delay before we get to the start of this $340,000 17th annual Busch Clash. A dash for cash and glory, Ned Jarrett. That's what it gets down to here.
That's really what it gets down to, Ken. There are no points involved in this race, but it's a very important race for the teams and the drivers that are in it, because all of them will be hoping to be in the Daytona 500 a week from today, and they can get a lot of experience out there with other cars on the racetrack, particularly those that are running Chevrolets this year. They have a brand new Monte Carlo, don't know what it's going to do in traffic. This will be a good learning experience, plus the fact there are 6 drivers in this field today who are rookies in the Busch Clash. Now, you would think normally this would not be a good race for a rookie, but those drivers that are there today can take heart in the fact that Jeff Gordon did win it last year as a rookie, so should be interesting.
Now, they drew for positions. That's the way they get the format started here in this race. Had a drawing a couple of days ago. One guy that has won it back in '81, has 11 starts, passed 7 cars, which is a record in the lead lap, was not in the drawing this time. We consider him one of our best experts. Darrell Waltrip, nice to have you along.
I can't help but notice, you're talking about rookies, I couldn't help but notice all the rookies standing around kind of smiling, da-da-da-da-da, looks like going to have a fun day. The veterans are standing around with that scowl on their face, like you boys don't know what you're in for. So it's a fun race to some degree. Some guys take it more serious than others, but it's neat that the rookies are in here, and they have had some time on the racetrack. These cars have been on the track since Thursday, running together, practicing, drafting each other. So I think it's going to be a better race than we think it's going to be.
Now, what are the new changes going to mean to this race that they put in effect?
Well, for one thing, as Ned alluded to, is the Monte Carlo. There's so many questions about the Monte Carlo. In the beginning, we thought it wasn't going to be a very good qualifying car. It was going to be a good race car. And, of course, Earnhardt's on the outside pole, and there's several Chevrolets in the top 10. I'm curious to see how the Chevrolets are going to run, obviously. And then there's some guys that are not in the race that probably should have been. Some guys got here because of tires. You know, last year they qualified on Hoosier tires. And
sounds like an excuse to me.
Well, that's my expert opinion.
Well, I'll tell you how good that Chevrolet Monte Carlo is running. It only missed the pole for next week's Great American Race by 11 one-thousandths of a second. And we'll get back to more on that story a bit later. This field could have been 19 strong. Harry Gant, however, has retired. Chuck Bound is on the mend after that horrible crash at Pocono. Good news about him. And as to the other driver who might have been in this field, he's standing by with David Hobbs right now.
And that driver is Ernie Irvan, who had 5 pole positions last year. Ernie, what sort of strategy can you realistically take in this 20-lap race where they shuffle the pack at the halfway point anyway and you go to the back of the field? Is there a strategy?
Well, there's a lot of strategies. Everybody will be having strategies. But when the green flag drops, all the strategies go to the wayside. And, you know, then you're going to have to figure out what your car's doing. And everybody wants to win the first one, and then they have to go to the back on the second one. But that's what makes the race exciting.
6 of the 16 drivers in today's race are rookies. How would you feel if you were out there with those rookies?
You know, all those guys are rookies on Winston Cup, but the thing is they're really not rookies in racing. So, you know, I'd feel good with all of them.
Of course, the question that's on absolutely everybody's lips is when are we going to see Ernie Irvan behind the wheel of one of these Winston Cup cars again?
Well, I don't know exactly, but, you know, the doctors are telling me that they really feel like, you know, my eyes healed up a lot, and they really feel like in a 3 months that the double vision may go away, and hopefully I'll be racing after that.
So hopefully by mid-season. Just one more question. How important is it to a driver in Speed Weeks to win this Busch Clash coming up to the 500 next week?
Well, it doesn't have any kind of bearing on for the 500, but it's the first race all year. The sponsors are all here. Everybody's here. They've all had they worked all year to get a pole, and winning the Busch Clash is something very special. I haven't actually got to do it. I won a segment and just never actually won the Busch Clash. And me and Earnhardt had a heck of a race going last year, and then all of a sudden Jeff Gordon come up and ended up beating us both. So we had a good race, but it would be something special for everybody.
Well, let's hope we can see you in the winner's circle here in 1996. And now down to Mike Joy with Rusty Wallace.
Well, Rusty's doing a little last-second interior decorating here inside his office. Rusty, in 91, Earnhardt came from last to first to win the Clash. Can it be done again?
Well, it can sure be done. I'm just going to see how this thing's running. It's drafted really good last night in practice. It handled great. So I need a car behind me. That'll really help me. But we'll see what happens. We'll just start to use this first half to get ready for the second. But if she's going to go to the front right now, I'm going to go to the front. There ain't going to be no sandbagging going on here.
Well, now they invert the field for the second half, so it's a disincentive to get to the front.
Well, yeah, if you want to approach racing that way. But, I'd hate to win this thing by default.
And I think everybody here feels the same way.
But then again, I think I'd like to have the cash, too.
That'd be nice. Now, in this sub-battle of beer brands, across the way is David Green, the Busch Series champion. It's his first ever time running with the Winston Cup cars. He said this morning he feels like he's swimming in shark-infested waters with a chicken leg around his neck.
Getting ready for the start, and we're not too far away. They're just about to bring the folks out of the infield here in the tri-oval area, and we'll be down to start the Busch Clash for 1995 here at the Daytona International Speedway.
Man has always been fascinated with speed. But winning is more than a flash of speed. It's a measure of skill, a test of guts. That's why the true spirit of NASCAR lies not in the machine, but in the man who drives it. We're proud to be part of this great sport. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR.
I want more power.
I'd like better mileage. Split fire doesn't look like any other spark plug. It doesn't work like any other spark plug. 5 extra horsepower by merely installing these plugs. A 4.8% gain in mileage. With split fire, you'll get more here, and you'll spend less here. Guaranteed. Guaranteed, you'll get more power and more mileage for your money back. You'll get more here, and you'll spend less here. Guaranteed.
Do you know how much sprinkles you got? Well, from the can, then you start. Fill the bowl from a Pringles can. Got as much as this bag, amazing man. Can you believe how much Pringles you got? So pop, the Pringles don't stop. Get the great taste you want, not the greasy mess this bag got. Pringles, once you pop, so much more than you ever thought. You can't stop.
Back at the Daytona International Speedway, and we're not too far from a start. There was a large throng gathered to be down here for the introduction of drivers in the tri-oval area, and they are just evacuating from there right now, and that'll take another 3 or 4 minutes. And here you see Jeff Gordon going over to take a look at that car number 24 before he settles down and tries to replicate what he did a year ago when he blew by the field. With an inverted field to start the second half of the Busch Clash, the question always remains, how do you come from the back of the pack to win?
I don't know if you can have any strategy if you're starting that far back. Just stand on the gas. Somebody gets in your way, knock them out of the way, because you won't have time to pass that many cars in only 10 laps.
First thing you got to do, you got to pass them in a hurry. 10 laps is not very long at Daytona. Just I think, tell yourself, don't crack the throttle.
It's hard. It can be done. I guess Earnhardt done it one year. You just have to catch a good seam with a couple cars racing, and you hope it's a gap where you can dive in and just wiggle through them.
I'd rather maybe finish last in the first one, start first in the last one, and win that, because the trophy is what counts. To be the winner of the Busch Clash is what you're going to remember, not the guy that wins the first segment.
Now, there's a short tracker philosophy, Waltrip. Now, what would you do in the situation like this? And, we're not going to see those runs where they talk about winning from the pole here. It's a little tricky coming out of the back, although Earnhardt's done it. What's the strategy?
What I would do, Ken, is I'd take advantage of what I had going for me right now. Like with Dale Earnhardt, he's going to start up here in the front. He's going to win that first segment. Then the second half, he's going to go to the back, and he's going to keep throwing the thing in the end zone and hope somebody catches it. That's what he's going to do.
Hail Mary racing here today, folks, and we get set to go. Here's David Hobbs standing by with one of those guys that he intends to stop that Hail Mary. Running defense in that case with a very wide rear view mirror would be Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine, you're on the pole for this 20-lap dash. Would you rather be here or at the back for the start?
Well, here's good. I get a lot of publicity out of it. I might end up at the back in 10 laps. I don't know. We're running pretty good, but, we're all concerned about where we're going to start the second segment. Obviously, that's the one that wins the Busch Clash. So we'll see how things sort out, see how good this car is, and see where we're going to start in that second race.
Great. Good luck. Down to Mike Joy with last year's winner, Jeff Gordon.
The defending champion smoked them all in yesterday's practice. You caught a group of cars drafting, took off from them, and they couldn't catch you. What have you got in here?
Well, you know, I can't do it by myself. So we got a good car. It's probably the best car I've had in Daytona in a while, and so we're just going to try to make the best of it. But we got to have some help to get to the front, beat some of these guys that are out here.
But then, can any one car leave this pack?
I don't think anybody can leave it, but I think once you get out front, it's going to be really hard to pass. It's going to take about 4 or 5 cars pushing you to get by one car. So the object here is to get out front.
That's the object on everybody's mind, Ken.
There are always problems here, Mike. Problems like trying to get a ticket to the 500. Problems like trying to get your car set up. Problems like locking your keys in your car, in the official pace car for the start of the Busch Clash. There it is. There it still was.
That's almost as bad as a couple of years ago when a guy stole the pace car at Talladega and made a couple of laps around there.
They're still waiting for him to get out. We'll be back for the start of the 1995 Busch Clash from the Daytona International Speedway in a moment.
From Darlington to Talladega, through Daytona, Rockingham, and Watkins Glen. In every major NASCAR race, Busch Beer recognizes the pole winner with the Busch Pole Award. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, everyone follows the leader. Busch Beer, proud sponsor and official beer of NASCAR.
Football can be exciting, but truck football, now that's a rush. So if you're going to tackle it, you better get a hold of the right equipment. A 1995 Ford Ranger 4x4.
Red 39!
Complete with switch-on four-wheel drive, new four-wheel anti-lock brakes, and a whopping 4-liter V6. So get a Ford Ranger 4x4 and play truck football.
How am I going to spike this thing?
You're sitting alongside Jeff Bodine, who will start on the pole in this first 10-lap sprint. He'll kick it up about that second, third lap to over 190 miles per hour and try to hold off Earnhardt on the outside and 14 other starters. Here's Mike.
The man in black, Dale Earnhardt's talking to his car owner, Richard Childress, checking out his two-way radio communication. Let me sneak in around the net here for just a second. How about it, champ? Starting on the front row. Good starting spot. How about finishing spot today?
Well, you know, this is really you usually want to start up front, but yeah, you invert this thing, you ain't sure what's going to go on that last 10. I'd sort of like to be further to the back maybe, but Richard Childress and I talked about it. We decided to go for it. You know, Jared picked us to win. He's up there doing the pit stuff, and we got old good-looking Walter up there in the tower with his suit on, and he's looking good. You know, maybe they can coach me a little bit, tell me which way to go here. We'll be all right.
Well, I'll give you our frequency, but nobody in this crowd's going to race to the rear, are they?
I don't think so. I think you're going to see that 4 and 24 and the 6 car at least coming on up here, and I'm definitely going to try to drag them around here the first 10, see if we can do it again, come from the back.
You say drag them around, Dale. Can anybody get away from this pack?
I don't think so. Everybody gets in line. I think it's going to be a race for, you know, staying in line. Get the racing side by side. The cars can get away from them in front, I think, at this point. I hope it's not the 4 and the 24, and I'm back there side by side with somebody, because they definitely can get away from them.
Okay, good luck, Dale. Let's go to David Hobbs.
Jimmy Spencer, he's won the last 2 restrictor plate races. How about this one, Jimmy?
I don't know. You know, we've been struggling here the last couple of days here, and we didn't qualify as well as we wanted to. Same car. We're going to be hard-pressed to beat the Chevrolets today, but we're not quitting at all.
Are you glad you're behind Dale Earnhardt at the start today? I mean, are you happy with your start position?
I'm very happy. You know, I believe that's the car to beat, and the 24 and the 4 car is real strong. And, you know, I think we're going to have to get in there, and the 4 teams are going to have to work together, just like the Chevrolet teams are. We're going to try to keep them Chevrolet separated. It's definitely, without a doubt, a Chevrolet-Ford battle today.
It's a big field, and a lot of them are rookies. Are you worried about that at all?
I'm a rookie myself, you know, and you didn't get here because of inexperience. You're a good race car driver, and you got in this field because you earned it. And everybody knows what we can do with one another. And, you know, you're naturally going to push each other to the limit today. There's a lot of prestige going into this race, and Anheuser-Busch and the fans want to see a great race, so we're going to try and give them one.
Well, good luck in this afternoon's race. Ken?
So there's Jimmy Spencer, settling down for his start this afternoon. There you see the field gathered 16 strong for this start, and every one of them determined to win $25,000 and relegate themselves to the back for the second 10 laps and go for $45,000. Those are racers out there, every single one. Earnhardt, he's done it twice, come from the rear to win that second 10-lap segment. Did it in 91, did it in 93. There's that window net on that car, and Darrell, tell us about that.
Well, they have some new window nets that the weaving is much tighter than we've had in the past. They took a window net away from a couple of teams because it was too tight. I see Dale has used the rules to his advantage, and that is the support that holds the window net in place, and they've just lengthened that out, I'm sure, in the interest of safety.
Well, it didn't help him enough. There's another one from, looks a little more like what we're used to.
Yeah,
there.
this is standard operating procedure here, and as I said, you know, everybody has an interpretation of the rules, and that's just one of them.
They were talking about trying to get away from this field, and could they do it? It's only happened once, and that was back in the initial year when Buddy Baker in that car just lapped the field, and you went with him.
Yeah.
You two guys blew everybody off but the third-place car. That's the only time it's ever happened.
Yeah, we started, I started third, Buddy started on pole, and we took off, and we almost lapped the entire field in that particular race, and it wasn't too long after that till they came up with this new format where they run 10 and invert them and put the fast guys in the back.
Plus the fact back then, Darrell, you didn't get any practice with those race cars in traffic at all.
No, we would qualify, and then as soon as qualifying was over, we'd line the cars up and go race. These cars, I'm sure every car in this race is a special car just for the Busch Clash. This is not the same car that these guys are going to run in the Daytona 500. These are throwaway race cars, if you will. That's what we always think about when we come down here. We're going to take a car, we're going to run it in the Busch Clash, and if it makes it, great. If it doesn't, well, we got our Daytona 500 car down there on the trailer.
And I guess they would use it maybe as a backup car in case they needed it for the Daytona 500.
Yeah, this is your backup car.
Here's Mike Joy.
Ricky Rudd had a grand year of success in '94. His first year as a driver-owner, brings his own Ford here to the Busch Clash. Well, you're back here in the Bob Uecker seats, kind of. It's not the last row, but you can sure see it in your mirror. What's your strategy for these first 10 laps, Ricky?
Well, Mike, we're going to try to jump out here and see if we can't move forward, but if not, you know, the real Busch Clash winners decided in the second segment, so the real race might be to who can finish last in the first race. That might be what the real race comes down to.
Now, you talked about these window nets. You see, this is kind of stiff, but not too stiff. And to kind of fill this window opening in here, you got a little bit of padding and you got a vent, and but there's still room for the driver to climb in. Here's David Hobbs.
Well, I'm with Bill Elliott, who won the fastest ever of these Busch Clashes at 197 miles an hour, and you also went on to win the 500 that year. Do you feel the same thing in your bones today, Bill?
I don't think we'll see 197 out of the cars today, but, you know, we're hoping to get a good solid run here today, kind of sort out what we've got, and really work toward building toward the 500. And we got some new guys in key places and just working the people out.
This is your first race as an owner. How are you feeling about that?
Well, everything's gone well to this point. I wish we'd qualified a little better yesterday for the 500, but you know, we're going in the right direction. We've not had any real problems, and we're just sorting a lot of things out.
Of course, qualifying for this race is done by drawing for position. Are you happy with the position you're in at the start of this 20-lap dash?
I don't think it's really going to matter, you know, because they're going to invert after 10 laps, and this will kind of see how you can kind of sort things out for at least the first 10 laps.
Big change in the weather from yesterday. Is that going to change the car today much?
Probably not a lot.
Well, there you have it from Bill Elliott, the winner of the fastest ever Busch Clash at 197 miles an hour. Back to you, Ken.
Bill Elliott, very excited about being back with the family and back in Dawsonville, Georgia. There you see they continue with that jet engine to dry off the track up here in the Turn 4 area of this 2.5-mile facility.
Bill mentioned he wasn't necessarily pleased with his qualifying speed yesterday for the Daytona 500. He wound up 20th, which really isn't that bad. Qualifying was very close yesterday, and I guess we'll talk about that as we go on here today. Of course, only the two front starting positions have been determined at this point.
There's the roof cam that is aboard David Green's car, which has an overview of the rest of the field. It looks up from the rear end there.
David Green, he didn't even win a pole in Winston Cup racing.
But he won 9 in Grand National.
But he won 9 in the other series, which is sponsored by Busch, and it got him an invitation into this race.
First time they've allowed the Grand National in. Orders have been given, and they fire them up. This is it. The start of Speed Weeks 95 here at Daytona. Next Sunday, the Great American Race will come rolling down a little afternoon. We hope you'll be here with CBS. And this is such a wonderful way to get the week started with this short driving race with so much at stake for these 16. Stay with us for the Busch Clash.
There's no place on earth that I'd rather be than out in the open where it's all plain to see that the land is pure, untamed and free. There's no place that I'd rather be. Ooh, come on along and head for the mountains of Busch here. Head for the mountains, it's cold and it's smooth and it's waiting for you. Come on, head for the mountains of Busch here.
We put these glass walls on the course at Road Atlanta to demonstrate the wet traction and performance of the Goodyear Eagle AquaTread. Racing-inspired dual aqua channels sweep water away for outstanding wet traction. Broad shoulders add aggressive grip for precise cornering. Its unique tread compound helps you stick to the road. You get the performance of an Eagle, the wet traction of an AquaTread. Eagle AquaTread, only from Goodyear.
There's one thing that a racing engine and a street engine have in common. You want them both to last.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
To build a race engine that holds up, you have to use the best of everything. And Haviland does that job.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer. Good enough for Robert Yates. Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
Less than a minute, and they'll begin to roll down pit road. They've had plenty of time to cool their heels down here, so they're giving the motors plenty of time to get some heat in before we begin the 1995 Busch Clash. And now the pace cars are pulling away. Two Pontiacs down pit road, and behind them come Bodine and Earnhardt. The rest of the field moving away nicely, and we're getting set to go racing here at Daytona. 31-degree banking, 18 degrees in the tri-oval, and it's always a thrill when they're getting set to go for the first time, wheel-to-wheel, Winston Cup racing here at Daytona.
The pit road's not real dry, Ken, but it's not going to make a lot of difference because they're not going to use the pit road except under that intermission. The thing that they might ought to have done, though, is cleaned up some of these out areas down here off of turn 4 and off of turn 2 back there, because that might get used during this race.
Gone 3 years without a caution thrown on this race. We've had some pretty exciting incidents in the past, Ned.
Yes, we really have. I remember Ricky Rudd tumbling off of turn 4 up there a number of years ago, and had a pretty good melee here on the front straightaway one time going into turn 1. So, never know.
Bodine, Brett Bodine, Bobby Allison up here out of turn 4. Okay, let's take a look at the starting grid if you're just joining us. We're live. We're at the Daytona International Speedway, and this is the Busch Clash, 17th annual. See the field down that back straightaway, and notice all this area that's been paved as you look at Bodine and Earnhardt, the front row. Then just as you get to the chicane area for the sports car race where they ran the Rolex 24 the other day, the grass is back there, but they've made a major change in that back straightaway. We'll be addressing that next week for sure in depth about the changes they've made around this track. There you see Allen and Sachs back there in row number 4. They'll take, what, 2 laps before they turn them loose today?
Right. Yeah. They get 1 to go this next time by. I want to say about David Green, I didn't in any way mean that he didn't deserve to be in this race. He's a homeboy, and his daddy will be all over me if I don't. He deserves to be in this race. I hope he wins it.
Comes from Owensboro, Kentucky.
That's right. There's a bunch of us guys from Owensboro, Kentucky.
How does it make you feel to see a kid from Owensboro, Kentucky, who was riding a tricycle when you were driving at Owensboro? What was the name of that? That's the Kentucky International.
No. It was Whitesville. Whitesville, and it makes me feel old.
Okay, a race analysis for you folks as we settle down here about a lap away. 25 miles. All it is, 10 laps in this first segment. Then they'll reverse the field. Ricky Rudd looked like he was pondering maybe waiting for that second half of the race.
He was the first one that was real honest.
Real honest, yeah.
That's what I say. They're going to drop the green flag. You're going to run 2 or 3 laps here, and as soon as you see what you can do, you can't do any good, you're going to slow down. And as he said, it'll be a real race for last.
Well, you won't see that among those guys in the front row. Certainly not Spencer.
But you can't get lapped now. If you get lapped, then then you got to go to back to the rear again. So you got to stay on the lead lap.
You got to stay in the draft basically to do that too.
Yeah. So your strategy could backfire on you if you're not real careful.
Well, there you see the 3 that have won, and only 3 from the pole. And as we say, now with this little extra element of spinning that field around at halfway, inverting the field, it's pretty hard to come along and take it from the pole. Earnhardt, of course, has gone to the rear after winning the first segment and come back to the top. See what Bodine can do to contain him. It's something if he could pull that off.
He could do it too, Ken, because starting back in the back is not as bad as it seems. When they come off of turn 2, they get so spread out down the back straightaway that the guy in the back gets an ultra draft. He gets a super draft, and he can go by a bunch of race cars.
Going by the Tiny Lund Grandstand, which they keep adding to in the back straightaway, we understand that is just about sold out for next week. Here we are approaching turn 3, critical area, fastest point on the track. They'll get in here in that draft a little over 193 miles an hour. Busch Clash coming live. There's Bodine and Earnhardt ready to square off in the front row. Earnhardt's up in the front row with a different adversary, but one he knows well on the inside for the Daytona 500 next Sunday. What a story we have there. 11 one-thousandths of a second separating the 1993 winner, Dale Jarrett, from Dale Earnhardt, as they'll come down for the start next Sunday afternoon here on CBS. Pace car ready to come in. We're ready to go racing for 1995. Jeff Bodine has an onboard camera. Ricky Rudd, Greg Sachs, and David Green.
I think Earnhardt will probably try to get the jump here on the start.
And what makes you think that? That's his style, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
He knows this race well enough to know that even if he started early, they wouldn't probably break him in.
Sterling Marlin jumps out of line and comes up trying to move alongside Ricky Rudd. It'll take a couple of laps to get to full speed. Back straightaway, 3 wide out of 2.
Yeah, look at Jeff Gordon on the tail of Ted Musgrave trying to push him on by Bodine on the outside. Those that are behind Bodine are at the disadvantage right now.
Yeah, I expect that Gordon will hook up with Earnhardt and they will be long gone.
Musgrave stays in it. Jack Roush car.
Whoa, we got
into the wall. Hard hit on Greg Sachs, car number 40. Caution coming out, front end gone.
He and Mark Martin tangled, and Mark is spinning around on farther down the track. Wow.
Caution out.
He did hit the wall hard, but fortunately he's apparently okay. He's already unbuckled his safety net. That's one of the things they're told in the drivers' meeting. If you're okay, unbuckle that safety net so the safety crew will know that, and then if there are other drivers involved in the accident, then they could go to them.
What started that is a car got down on the apron going into 3 over there. They're about 3 wide, and I'm not sure who it was. It's either Ricky Rudd or Loy Allen, and that got a little crowded going into turn 3 over there and sent cars into each other.
Greg Sachs walking away.
His first ride in this car.
Richard Brooks, Felix Abetta's car, and there's the number 6 Mark Martin right behind the wall, and you can see the rear fender bent up on that.
I really felt Mark had a chance to run with Earnhardt and Gordon. He looked good in practice, and I thought he might have had a chance to run with him.
Replays coming up, folks. Wide angle.
Actually,
looks like Loy Allen got a piece of Sachs's car and sent him up, and he got into Mark Martin.
Actually, it looked like, but there was a car down on the apron. If we could look at that again, going into 3, he gets down on the apron and forces those cars into each other. I think it may have been Mark, actually. Here he is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mark. Yeah, that's Mark.
Mark went up and hit Sachs.
Yeah, he got down on the apron, he came up and hit Sachs, and that drove Sachs into the wall, and then sort of chain reaction, I guess. Sachs took a hard lick.
From inside of Greg Sachs' car, let's watch what happens here.
the hit is one thing, but then then once you realize you're okay, you draw up and hope no one else hits you. That's what worries you from that point on.
Loy Allen's number 27, the Junior Johnson car, on pit road.
First time he got by down on the inside.
I think he just brushed his right front fender just a little bit up against somebody. The crew standing in the way, I think, of what damage he may have suffered.
Let's go to the telestrator here.
Okay, let's take a look at what did happen as they went into the turn. We're just okay. Stop it right there. Right there is where Mark Martin, he was down on the inside, and he goes up and hits Greg Sachs. We'll move it on forward, and you can see what happens then after they move. See, he hits the front end, sends Sachs into the wall, and then Martin loses control on out in front of him, spins around, and he doesn't get into the wall too hard.
Short day for a former winner of the Daytona 400. Another view.
Yeah, Mark just, I'm sure he thought he had plenty of room to get in there, and he was just down on the apron. When you get those left wheels down the apron like that, the car automatically comes back up on the surface, up on the banking, a lot quicker than you anticipate.
He was under the 27 car going into that turn, under Loy Allen, and
may have brushed him
right
too.
Yeah, that's how he got the damage, I think, on his car.
So we're under caution, and these laps are not counting in this Busch Clash. One lap, and we'll be back under green another time. Hard hit for Greg Sachs. We'll try to get a word with him for you in a moment. As we come back up on a restart, it will be Earnhardt in first, Musgrave second, Jeff Gordon will be in third, Sterling Marlin will be in fourth, Jeff Bodine in fifth, Elliott sixth, Todd Bodine seventh, Jimmy Spencer in eighth, Rusty Wallace looks to be ninth, and Rick Mast will round out the top 10. Ricky Rudd back there in 11th, and David Green's pulled up from 16th into 12th. Sachs and Martin both behind the wall.
These caution laps don't count, by the way, so I guess we're still, basically, we got one lap in the book.
One of the guys on the move is certainly Sterling Marlin. He's come from 9th up to 4th position. Here's Mike Joy.
Ken Schrader's a two-time winner of the Clash. You saw that in-car replay and said what?
I've been there, done that.
Ooh, and it's not a good feeling.
Before. No, Greg took a heck of a hit there. Glad to see he's okay.
This is a tough race because everybody needs to get in the front in a hurry because you may not get a second chance.
Well, you need to get there quick, but, you know, a lot of stuff happens in the front. You need to be lucky if you can get through it sometimes. But when they invert it, it's a whole other deal in the second half.
Well, Kenny's not just a spectator. He owns the car David Green is driving in the Clash and has a real keen interest in what happens here. Ken, let's show you this crash again. Give us your idea what happened here.
It's hard to see the way it is, but it looks like maybe Mark was awful low. Maybe he had part of the car in the apron and had to get back up, and Greg was at his right rear quarter panel and turned both of them. Yeah, Mark was out of room down there.
The banking's flat, or 31 degrees. The apron is flat. How tough is that transition if you catch one wheel down there?
That's about how you usually make it. That's a normal transition.
And a tough break for those two drivers. Ken?
Getting ready for a start, and Loy Allen's number 27 is back on pit road.
And Ken, the rules are, you see them, there's two abreast. That's the rules in the Busch Clash. On restarts, they come up two abreast as opposed to single file in normal Winston Cup races.
Which has really set this thing up now for, here's Earnhardt and Gordon, and I think they're really going to go now, and Sterling's going to drop right down there with
Well, look at Sterling pulling out already, trying to find a hole on the outside. As they come down, and he gets trapped. Musgrave didn't come up that quickly, and Marlin trying to find a way out of that box.
And he still hasn't found her. He went high, he went low, and he just couldn't find a way.
Now he's there. Comes around Bodine. Here comes Jeff right back after him.
I'm impressed with Ted Musgrave. Now, he's been able to hang right there in the other Jack Roush car. He's been hanging right there with Earnhardt and Gordon, and he looks like he's racing.
Earnhardt, who led the opening lap, first time he's ever done that in a Busch Clash, stays out in front. Here's Jeff Gordon in second. Franklin, Wisconsin's Musgrave maintaining third.
And these cars running side by side for fourth are beginning to lose a little bit of distance. That happens on these restrictor plate tracks. If you run side by side, those running single file are going to be able to pull away a little bit if you aren't careful.
Yeah, they don't do it immediately, Ned, but they get the momentum going, and they will ease on away from the other guys if they don't do something here pretty quick. But do something. There's nothing you can really do. You can't hold your hand up and say, hey, I want to get over there for a little while, please.
Ricky Rudd in traffic. Jimmy Spencer up there on the right, just in front. Rusty Wallace.
I'm sure that Sterling Marlin right now is probably jumping up and down in the seat, wanting to get free of that crowd, because I think he's got a car that could run with those front cars.
Rudd giving us those pictures from 10th position. Still even across between Bodine and Sterling Marlin for 4th.
Hey, they're staying up there with those running single file better than I thought they would.
Yeah, they are, Ned. That surprises me, too. I thought Earnhardt and Gordon would hook up and just pull away from the other guys.
Boy, they're bouncing all over up there in turn 4. That looks rougher than usual. 3 wide through.
Well, Bodine slowed down, and here the other Bodine is almost in trouble. What a great job Todd Bodine did of not losing that race car.
Headed down on the flat in the grass and got it back.
You know, he's an exciting guy to watch. He does a lot of things with a race car that make you kind of sit up on the edge of your seat, whether you're in the stand or in the car.
Ran a little over 190 miles an hour that last lap.
Number 4, Marlin. Running 2 cars side by side is usually a way to lose here. Those cars in a draft, nose to tail, will pull away. Not this time, and Marlin has closed in on the top 3. Earnhardt and Gordon staying there, and Sterling right with them. Musgrave back to 4th. In 5th, Elliott.
See, normally right now, Ken, they would run this way and probably till a pit stop. But somebody's got to do something if they want to win this segment. And Sterling's already been caught on the outside. He hates to get out there again, but he's going to have to make a move here pretty quick if he's going to win this thing.
Speed picking up, 192.8 the last lap.
Yeah, they're right. You notice how they're right down on that white line? Everybody's car's handling good. It's cool out there right now, and tires are not a factor. This is absolutely the cars at their best.
Everybody stabilized, just holding on here for a moment. Take a look at Bodine a moment ago. Todd Bodine.
Well, they came up on his brother, Jeff.
Yep.
That's what caused the situation. Jeff had slowed down, pulled to the inside, and Todd had a good steam. Had a steam going, and I don't know how he held on to it.
Folks, I'm going to tell you, you just don't do that very often. You don't get down there like that and save it. That's usually bad news.
190 mile an hour move, and it keeps Todd Bodine in 7th place, right in the trioval. Here's Rusty Wallace, just getting around Ricky Rudd. That's for 8th position.
Yeah, he tried to follow him for a few laps, and he saw those others getting away from him, so he decided to pass him, see if he could pull Ricky on up there to him.
Yeah, they're really not a factor in this race right now, and Rudd's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Try to finish dead last.
Halfway in the first half.
See, that's a car owner for you. He said, dollars are dollars, and I want the big ones.
Good thing.
Now, would you do that?
If I had the chance. Maybe that's why I'm not out there.
Earnhardt, Gordon, and Marlin running 1, 2, and 3. Musgrave stays 4th. Bill Elliott in 5th. Jimmy Spencer in 6th.
I think the thing you got to remember is just like even Jeff Gordon himself said, a car in front is going to take all those cars behind Earnhardt to get by him. One car's not going to pull out and get the job done. Sterling and Jeff are going to have to work together if they're going to beat Dale.
7 cars in this lead draft. Back to Todd Bodine, who made that miraculous save 2 laps back, coming down out of 4. Gordon showing a lot of patience, just waiting here on Earnhardt, the 5-time winner in the Clash, winner of 23 Cup events here at the Daytona Speedway, but never the 500. Wants to change it next week. The guy that beat him, nose to tail in 93, will be right alongside at the start. It's the Dale and Dale Show 1 week from today.
As much success as he's had here, and that's a lot, he's never won a point-paying race here. So that's the thing.
But you know it can be done.
I know. And I was going to mention this is the 17th annual BUSCH Clash. This is Dale Earnhardt's 17th Daytona 500. Those 17s were good to ODW. The only problem is he got a big old 3 on the side of his car. And I had a 17 on the side of mine.
All right. Hey, by the way, Darrell qualified well for the Daytona 500 in 9th place.
Golly, I know it. I wish I was out there racing today. These Monte Carlos are good. And I tell you who I really wish was in this race, that 28 car. Because the Ford guys, I can hear them now. I can hear it up here in my headset. They're whining right now. They got 1, 2, 3 in the Chevrolets, and the Fords are lined up behind them. I can hear it coming.
Chevrolet with Earnhardt, Gordon and Marlin. Musgrave, the first Ford.
Are they beginning to move a little bit here
now?
now?
Shuffle now.
Yeah, just see what, checking things out a little bit.
Yeah, it's getting down close to showtime here. Not that we haven't had a good show, but we're getting ready to have a better one.
Will there be one more lap to go when they come by this time?
Remember, a year ago when Jeff Gordon won it overall, he had Brett Bodine to help him. They got together and they knocked down Ernie Irvin and Dale Earnhardt in the last moments of that race. I guess it was a lap and a half to go when they shot the bulls.
See, what you got, Dale's really in the, I think Dale's in the right place, because what you got is Sterling and Jeff, and they're going to go right by. They're going to go right by.
Gordon trying to get down, and Earnhardt trying to block him. It opens it up for number 4. Here comes Jeff Gordon storming down the inside, and he's bringing Sterling Marlin along with him. Boy, you talk about full contact stock car racing. At over 190, they're dishing it out here. And the 23-year-old looks like he's on his way to win this first segment. Earnhardt up on the outside. Marlin below him at the line. Give it to Gordon, and Sterling Marlin will take second. Back to third falls Dale Earnhardt in this last lap.
Bill made a great move and finished fourth.
Yeah,
that was racing for him.
I tell you what was so bad, I didn't know that was the last lap. I'm thinking he made his move too soon, but it was a great move, and I thought he was probably sitting in the right spot.
Boy, that looked like 1979, the 500 all over again. Cale and Allison going at it. Great recovery, and Gordon is going to win the first half, and that's going to award him with $25,000 and a chance to start dead last in the second segment that's coming right up. They'll just invert the field, and we'll roll and watch Gordon trying to roll through. Here's Earnhardt up to have a little chat.
Yeah. He said, you know, you've done that to me once before, boy. I don't think I like this. Where's it? Don't show any respect to a 7-time champion. That was a great move, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next 10.
And he did it, Darrell. Marlin had looked like made a move to the outside at that time, so he didn't really have that much help from Sterling.
Well, I think what Sterling did is reacted to what he saw Dale do. Dale moved to the inside. Sterling said, I'll go outside, but it just couldn't be done.
Yeah, but he did quickly get back down there again, so that did help him pull the move off.
Pace car has moved out from down in the turn 1 area, and the pit road is closed. That's why everybody came by. The Bud 1 airship, aerial ambassador of the King of Beers, is proud to provide you these shots of the Daytona Speedway. Gray day, make it look pretty exciting from the old blimp. Thank you, Spokes.
Well, you know, the field's not quite as big as it was. There's a couple of less cars in the field than there was, and I don't know what kind of shape Loy Allen's car's in, so it's not quite as difficult to come from the rear.
Yeah, Loy's already gone a lap down, so he would not be, as you mentioned earlier in the show, would not be that much of a factor.
I think we may see some tire changes right here. There's Jeff Gordon's crew ready to go to work. New Monte Carlo finishing first, second, and third in this first 10-lap sprint.
Yeah, it's a good race car, Ken. But let me tell you this: it's a great race car, and I'm glad to be driving one of them. I'm glad we got it. Why the Chevrolet drivers are so excited is it's so much better than the Lumina was. This car is as good as the Ford now, and when you put the teams that have these Monte Carlos out there with cars that are good as the Fords, where you're going to see a lot of wins from Monte Carlo this year.
From sitting up here above the start-finish line, yeah, we'd love to see a replay of that back finish, wouldn't we? That back stretch.
I would.
But what those cars look like is they've got such a soft, almost rolled front end. Look like a crescent compared to what they had last year. Take a look at this pass, folks.
See, Dale comes down, and I think he and Jeff actually hit, and Sterling says maybe I can get them both on the outside.
But he saw he couldn't.
He couldn't. He quickly falls back in line.
And those cars weigh like a leaf at about that point, right there.
Oh, yeah. I know just like when the 40 car hit the wall, we didn't really say, wonder if Greg's okay or not. We take for granted he is. That's something we just assume is he okay because of the way the cars are. But they hit that wall hard, and when those little nudges that we talk about, they scare the heck out of you because they move you around a lot.
Here's Mike Joy standing by with Jeff Gordon.
John Collins has the car in the air as Mike Trower and Chad Now's changed the right side tires. Tim Smith has the left side lug nuts undone as Michael Landis and Darren Jolly bring the tires over. 4-tire change, and the tires look pretty good. That's what the tire specialists at the back of the car are checking. The wear is fine in only 10 green flag laps, and they didn't pick up a lot of debris out there. Jeff shut the car off because they have plenty of time to work here with these caution laps not counting. Ray Evernham is on the radio to Jeff, talking to him, and he's out in front of the car putting a little tape over the nose. Now, that'll improve the aerodynamics, but it may affect the water temperature just a bit. Let's go to David Hobbs.
Well, down in Rusty Wallace's pit, he too had a 4-tire change. Engines off, no rush down here at all. Robin Pendleton, crew chief, talking to Rusty, who, as you know, wasn't running too well in that first half, but of course that'll put him right near the front in the second half, and maybe these 4 new tires will help him. They're going to do a bit of radiator blocking up here, things running a bit cool probably. Very cool down here in the pits today and out on the track. Ken.
There you see Waltrip's car, and all of them are going to the tape, blocking them off a little here.
Yeah, what they do is that first segment, they say, how hot was it running? Well, it was running 180. Well, we can step that up a notch and go faster, too.
Take a look at that finish that we just saw out here as the field begins to reorganize for the second half of the event. Jeff Gordon winning, Sterling Marlin second, Earnhardt third, Bill Elliott and Musgrave the top 5. Good run for Musgrave.
Yeah, good run for Bill, too.
And you see Todd Bodine, Jimmy Spencer back to 7th. Bodine pulled off another one that last couple of laps. And Mark Martin and Greg Sachs are already DNFs from it, did not finishes after they're behind the wall. Altercation on the very first lap of competition. They say that number 3 is running hot.
Yeah, you look at that water coming
next.
out the overflow,
Yeah.
and you can see that he's running hot.
Well, yes and no. What they're doing, they're probably putting water in it and cooling it off. That's where the overflow is, and it comes out the back. They're going to cool that bad boy down, and I bet they put a little bit more tape on her, so she'll go a little bit quicker.
Darrell, I think they already have. I think they're up there slapping tape on a little early.
This is to get it down to 140, so it'll be cool for a little bit longer.
College basketball coming up here this afternoon. It's Purdue versus the Indiana Hoosiers. That's next this afternoon here on CBS. Back on pit road, and they're working on Todd Bodine, number 75. And you can see the tire mark on that one.
Yeah, see, normally if you saw that at Daytona, I mean, normally you don't see that at Daytona. Let me put that out there first. But when you do, the guy's usually been into the wall, because that's a lot of contact for a track that you run 190 miles an hour on.
Mike Joy.
Todd Bodine sitting in the car. His owner, Butch Mock, supervises the repairs. He got in a little brush there with his brother. The hood's going to go back up, and you see they have a little bit of a flopping fender there. Todd, what happened there with you and your brother Jeff and Jimmy Spencer?
Well, Jeff was trying to get out of the way, I think. He was real bad loose, and we went 3 wide going into trials, and evidently Jimmy didn't know it, and we just got together. You know, it's just one of those deals that happens.
Boy, nice save.
I can't believe I saved it.
Neither could we.
And neither, what, about 40,000 people here today? Great.
You know what,
crowd
I
out
can't
there.
believe I can't believe he can talk about it. I'd still be trying to get my breath. Those little dark areas you see in the grill opening area, that's how much air these cars are taking in right now. Because of the shortness of the race and how you need speed, that's why they're putting that tape all on the grill. The more tape you can run up there and the more holes you can close up, the faster you'll go.
We should point out that they're inverting the lead lap cars only, so therefore Loy Allen running a lap down. He'll restart out back. Take a look at the grid for the second segment of this race. About a lap away from the start. Now, Green was scheduled to be on the pole, and he's going to pull out of there. He's requested to go to the rear. He's saying he has ignition problems, but that's how they would have started. Then Mast and Jeff Bodine would be in row 2. You have Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace in row 3. For row 4, Pennsylvania's Jimmy Spencer, New York's Todd Bodine. In row 5, you have Musgrave and Elliott. Going back to row 6, there's Earnhardt squaring off with Sterling Marlin in the number 4. Getting to row 7, there is Jeff Gordon, the winner of that first segment. Then Loy Allen, a lap down. As we get set for start, 2 cars not coming back out. Halftime statistics coming up here. Lead changes, 1 biggie. As Jeff Gordon shot him down, final moment of the race. Biggest move, Sterling Marlin, 9th to 2nd. And Earnhardt dominated until that final corner.
You know, Ken, in the past, being out front's been the place to be, but maybe these cars are slick enough now and sleek enough, and they got enough horsepower this year that maybe being out front's not right this year. Last couple of years, it's been good to be in front. You just couldn't get the momentum to get by, but maybe that's changing.
It sure looked like it.
It sure looked
race.
that way.
Let me ask you a question, Ned. Are you taking your heart pills yet? Here you are. You've got your son back in the front row. We're getting ready for a repeat of the Dale and Dale finish. Now they're going to start up in front for the 500. Here is Dale Jarrett on the pole by 11 one-thousandths of a second. The old master, Mr. Earnhardt, right along, still striving for his first win. Are you going to be okay next Sunday?
Oh, I think we'll be okay. We'll get through it. But it is going to be exciting, no doubt about it.
It's going to be a great race, folks. We hope you're going to be with us here on CBS. So we're coming down for a start. Hope you'll be watching it here on CBS starting at noon Eastern. From the blimp, coming down for the start. As they come to the line, Ward Burton and Rick Mast in that front row. Ricky Rudd right behind Rick Mast as they take green.
There's Bill Elliott making a move down to the inside.
Getting blocked by Jimmy Spencer. Place to run there.
Spencer saw him coming, so maybe I can pick up that draft. There's Chevrolets in the back battling.
Wasn't it Spencer that said us four drivers got to work together?
Yeah, right. Okay, look at those guys in the back of the field as all of a sudden Earnhardt begins to lead that pace through, and here they come.
4 abreast.
Unbelievable.
Wait a minute, guys. Is that going to work?
Oh, yeah, they'll sort it out.
Okay.
That's what you say.
Jeff Bodine in the middle. He's wondering.
Oh. If Bodine is loose, that is a handful. How do you keep the air on the spoiler in a deal like that?
Well, you just hang on. That's all you do. You just hang on.
He's still there. His brother now pulls away from him.
Now, I don't like the way this looks. No, it sorted itself out.
Look how quickly Earnhardt has already come to the front.
Yeah.
Bottom of the racetrack and charging right up through Earnhardt into the lead. Gordon getting trapped back there with Bill Elliott just in front of him and Spencer flanking him on the outside.
You know, Dale Earnhardt is just phenomenal for getting through traffic. That is in a lap and a half, and he's out front. That's phenomenal.
Here's Mike.
Can we expect... Car 1 has already broken the 2 best motors he brought here, and Ward Burton told his team on the first lap of this race they've got the wrong rear end gear, so they're drifting toward the back.
But drifting toward the front, Gordon closes in on Bill Elliott in third. Elliott's cleared away. He's closed up on Marlin in the number 4. The 94, Bill Elliott out of Dawsonville, Georgia. Back flying his own colors this year. In the third spot, here comes Gordon after it.
I think they're going to have to change the format, Ken. This inverting the field ain't working.
Well, it makes it exciting for a lap.
It does for a lap, but we're right back where we were a little while ago.
You could cut it to 2 laps. I don't think this one's over. Look at Jeff Gordon closing in again, Ned.
Yeah, he made that magnificent move on Earnhardt to get the lead on the last lap. On the first 10 laps, he's thinking the same thing. Earnhardt's wondering if the adjustments they made on his Chevrolet will keep that from happening again.
NCAA basketball coming up next on CBS. Purdue and Indiana. Great Midwestern Classic, and you'll see it here. Right now, you're watching live the Busch Clash 17th Annual. Out in front, the 7-time Winston Cup champion. Earnhardt is on the point. Sterling Marlin, defending Daytona 500-mile champion, right there with him, followed by 2-time winner of the Winston Cup. Here you see of the Daytona 500, Bill Elliott, and then you see Jeff Gordon, who won this race as a 22-year-old rookie.
See, the guy who's really trying to protect his position right now, of course Earnhardt is too, but Sterling Marlin, he saw what Jeff Gordon did on that other. He said, I need to be in second place. Don't want nobody to pass me. He was in third before. And he wants to sit right there in second place, see if he can do the same thing Gordon did.
See, Dale couldn't stay in traffic very long. That extra tape they put on that car, it would get too hot. It wouldn't run well. So he's got to get out front. But I'm not so sure that Sterling Marlin can do what Jeff Gordon did. Jeff's just got a real knack for this place, and he really can pull off some good moves.
193.3 miles an hour the last time around.
That's humping it right there.
Ricky Rudd back in the 5th spot. In 6th, Todd Bodine. Jimmy Spencer's deployed 7th. Rusty Wallace back at 8th.
Todd Bodine, I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but he came in and got a late pit stop. He caught the field after they took the green, and he has really worked his way right back up there. He was dead last when they took the green.
He is working his way back up.
And if nothing else, he's going to cause some excitement.
5 to go.
Oh, Nigel Marlin, that's what they're calling him now. He's hanging right in there in second place. I'm really impressed with the way Bill's run, though. He's run good in the first segment, and here he is right up in the middle of this thing with being half over.
Yeah, he's got to feel good about the way he's running, too, with a new team. Even though he knows that his brother Ernie builds some strong engines and he has confidence in the people, but like he said in the interview before the race, he has some new people there that haven't worked together, and you just really don't know until you get out there in competition.
Well, I think, I know my first year as an owner driver, I had a great year. Ricky Rudd had a great year, first year owner driver. I think Bill Elliott will have a great year.
I agree.
Dale Earnhardt calls this a go-get-it race, and he's getting it right now.
Yeah, but, you know, maybe you think maybe he'll learn something from that first one. Maybe being out front ain't the place to be, but maybe he also figured out I'm going to be a little rougher in this second one. I'm going to be a little harder to pass.
Fading up very high. Looked like Jimmy Spencer getting very high in 3 and 4. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Dale Jarrett's on the pole for next Sunday's 500. He'll be in this race next year. 2 years ago, you beat Dale Earnhardt with 1 lap to go to win the Daytona 500. What does Sterling Marlin have to do to beat Dale today?
Well, I think he's got his work cut out. I don't think he's going to beat Dale. I think they're going to start shuffling around, and I think in his second segment, Dale's going to make it a lot tougher for them to get around him going down the back straight.
If one car goes, will everybody go?
I think they're going to start shuffling. I think the problem's going to come that Gordon's going to try to get up there. I think they want to pass Earnhardt, but they also all want to win, so that's going to cause a problem for them.
I think Kenny Schrader called it, Ken. He just said, this could get big.
Yeah, they're going to use those Batman fenders where they widen out on that thing. That number 3 up in front, Sterling Marlin still in second. Gordon peeking around the outside of the Bill Elliott number 94. Further back, here's Rusty Wallace in the 2 car as he fights his way up through the field, up to 7th.
If Gordon is going to be able to get up there and be a threat, he's got to start making a move pretty quickly.
Yeah, he does. He's got to get by Bill Elliott first. And like Dale said, when they get side by side back here racing for second and third, that's when Dale and somebody's going to get away from him.
He seems to have such a natural sense about how to draft. Everyone says no one drafts quite like Earnhardt, but this young man on that 24 has certainly rewritten part of that chapter.
I have been totally impressed with him from the first time he sat in a Winston Cup car. Here at Daytona particularly, he has a real knack for it.
Has a good race car to go along with it, too.
Yeah, he's got a good crew. Ray, I'm parked by Ray, and I tell you, he's
Ray Evernham?
Ray Evernham's a great crew chief, and he does a good job.
He looked a little high there going into turn 2, but there was no room there, so he hasn't been able to make a pass. Here's Todd Bodine making a pass.
Underneath Ricky Rudd.
What I think you'll see is you see that gap between Dale and those other cars change a little bit, because everybody's trying to get back and get a run is what they're trying to do.
Wallace in the 2 car.
White flag will come out this time. 1 more lap to go.
Here's the front 4. This is where it's going to be decided for $45,000.
See how Sterling falls back maybe a couple of 3 car lengths. Now he'll try to pick all the momentum up he can coming off of turn 2. They let Dale get out there just a little bit to get a little run at him.
Marlin closing in again in the car number 4. Earnhardt in front.
Let me see. No, they're not going to make it. It's a done deal.
You think it's a done deal?
It's a done deal.
Here comes Elliott.
Waited too long. Waited too long. Got too far back. Had the right idea. Just they waited too long.
You used to many years ago before the restrictor plate days, you did it coming off of turn 4, and then it kept moving further back around the racetrack. Now I guess you got to do it, what, at the start-finish line when you get the white flag?
Down for the checkers. One more shot. Short. Earnhardt does it for the 6th time. Wins the Busch Clash. A great start for the week. But can he end that problem on Sunday in the 500 and finally win it after 17 tries? Earnhardt has won the Busch Clash. 125-mile qualifiers will be shown Saturday here on CBS. Hope you'll be with us to enjoy that. And Sunday at noon Eastern, the Great American Race. Basketball. Purdue versus Indiana coming up next. Burnett Jarrett, Mike Joy, David Hobbs, and Darrell Waltrip. Ken Squire saying so long from Daytona Beach, where Earnhardt has won the 1995 Busch Clash.